You know that card in your wallet? The one that pays for your coffee or gets you into the office with just a simple tap? It feels like magic, right? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that magic trick. We're diving deep into the world of RFID and NFC attacks to see just how easy it is to copy those digital keys. Let's get right into it.
Okay, just a quick heads up before we get into the thick of it. This explainer is part 3 of a 10-part series, and it's all based on a really detailed research report from Virtualization Options LLC. Now, the full report is for internal research only, but we're focusing entirely on what's in Chapter 3, Contactless Exploitation. And remember, this is all for educational and informational purposes.
So let's just cut right to the chase with a question that gets to the heart of it all. How secure really is that key card in your pocket? I mean, think about it. You trust it every single day to get you into your workplace, your apartment building, maybe even your home. But is that trust misplaced? Let's find out. All right, so what's our target today? It's the kind of tech we use all the time without even thinking about it. I'm talking about RFID, radio frequency identification, and NFC, which is near-field communication. These are the invisible, little engines that make our lives so convenient. They're the secure digital keys to our entire world. So how does this stuff actually work? Well, at its core, the idea is really simple. Both technologies use radio waves to shoot information over a really short distance. A card reader sends out a little bit of energy, which wakes up the chip in your card, and the card then broadcasts its identity. We use it for everything from building access to paying for groceries. It's a pretty brilliant system, which, of course, makes it a brilliant target. So, if it's such a brilliant target, how does the digital heist actually go down? How can something that feels so secure, like a key card, just get copied? You might be picturing some super complex Mission Impossible style scenario, but the truth is, the source material breaks it down into a process that's almost shockingly simple. And here it is. The whole operation boils down to just 4 steps. Step 1, an attacker figures out what kind of card you're using. Step 2, they get close enough, we're talking just a few inches, to capture your card's data with a special reader. Step 3, they take that data and write it onto a blank, writable card. And finally, step 4, they walk up to the door and test their new clone. It's a simple and very repeatable process. Now, this is absolutely crucial to understand. Not all cards are the same. The big difference is the frequency they operate on. Low-frequency systems, the 125 kilohertz ones, like the super common HID prox cards, they are dangerously insecure. The guide is, well, it's pretty blunt about it. Because the data isn't encrypted, they offer basically zero security. High-frequency systems can be much better. The scary part, millions of those old, insecure cards are still out there being used every day. Of course, for any job, you need the right tools, right? Well, digital lockpicking is no different. And the gear for these attacks isn't some secret government-level tech. It's stuff you can buy online. It's well-documented, and it makes these kinds of attacks accessible to pretty much anyone who wants to learn. So let's run through the lineup. You've got the Proxmark 3, which is kind of the gold standard. It can read, write, and even pretend to be a card all by itself. Then there's the Flipper Zero, which has gotten super popular. It's this little multi-tool that's perfect for grabbing card data on the go. You also need blank cards, like a T5577 for those weak low-frequency systems, and for more advanced stuff, you have the Chameleon Mini. The main takeaway here is the hardware is out there, and it is very good at what it does. Okay, so we've been talking about plastic cards in your wallet. Pretty standard stuff. But this is where the research guide takes a turn into something that sounds like it's straight out of a science fiction movie. What happens when the key card isn't in your pocket, but it's actually inside your body? No, I'm serious. Really think about that for a second. Bioimplants that use RFID and NFC technology are a real thing. People are getting chips injected into their hands to unlock doors, store data, log into their computers, you name it. It's the ultimate convenience. But does that also make it the ultimate vulnerability? You'd think hacking a chip inside a person would be way harder, right? Well, it turns out the process is almost identical to cloning a regular card. The same tools, like the Proxmark 3, work just fine. An attacker just has to get a little closer because, human tissue gets in the way of the signal. And here's the real kicker. Most of these implants don't even encrypt the credentials they're storing. The data is just sitting there, completely unprotected, waiting for someone to come and read it. So we've gone on this whole digital caper. We've talked about gadgets and even human implants. What's the actual real-world lesson here? Well, this isn't just about some cool tech tricks. This is about a critical vulnerability that directly impacts physical security. And for anyone in that field, understanding this stuff is, frankly, non-negotiable. I want to let this quote, pulled directly from the source material, really sink in. It says, 125 kilohertz systems offer virtually no security. I mean, it doesn't get any clearer than that. If your company, your building, your whatever, is still relying on these simple, unencrypted cards, you are relying on a system that is fundamentally broken. Period.
And that, right there, is why this matters. This knowledge is the absolute foundation for any real physical security assessment. It all comes down to a simple principle. You cannot defend against a threat you don't understand. Knowing how these attacks work, the tools they use, and which systems are vulnerable is the first and most important step you can take.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. That piece of plastic you tap against a reader every single day feels like a secure, modern key. But is it really a key? Or, for many of the most common systems out there, is it just a tiny radio transmitter quietly broadcasting your password to anyone nearby who has the right and easily available equipment to listen?
And that's a wrap for this explainer. All the information we covered today comes directly from the Wireless Attack Vectors Technical Guide by Virtualization Options LLC. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you for the next one.